welcome to another episode of The Lifting. This episode is being recorded on 5/14/25. Another Q&A, folks. I know you've seen a bunch of them so far, but this is how it's been going. There's going to be now another one or two after this, so just keep them coming. The questions, I mean. So,
We'll have shows in between, but there were so many that came, we thought we couldn't let them pile up too high.
yeah, we're not going to do another longie like that one you saw. That one, the number 8 one I told you about. You're not going to see that humongous one anymore.
No,
No,
but when you have all these questions coming, you can only let them pile up so much, so
yeah.
we'll try to, after all the excitement and people threw in a lot of questions, hopefully they'll come in a little more slower. And then we'll do other talks as well.
And please do me a favor, do not send huge packs of them in, like 14, 15 of them at a time, 3, 4, 5 tops. That makes it easier on me to do it. Thank you in advance. Please and thank you. So I now open this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. Joanne?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to please come in with no conflicting agenda, so that we may have this conversation in great understanding. And we ask for malevolent and mischievous beings to be swept away right now, so that we can have this conversation in peace. And with that, and with great blessings that we always send your way, we say so be it.
And so be it. So this is going to be now the next affirmation and blessing. All right. Have fun with life. Flame on, as I did, but be humble. In the face of true change, but direct. And in the times you live, always be kind. And put a big smiley face. Music is the language of the soul. Hatred, even in the form of subtle, as well as loud darkness, is still hatred. Remember this, please. Channeling a performer and lead singer of Queen, Freddie Mercury. I thought that was actually quite interesting. Okay.
So this is an interesting question. What was the true purpose of Oak Island?
All right. Hey, dumbass, you said it earlier, a way station, but it was and or still is still used for treasure storage. When people like the Knights Templar and the Knights of Malta reshaped the area, it was with the intention that there be a way station into the new world. Also, if you add in the Tartarian information, a way station was most certainly needed for an empire that never was. This was why it seems to not have a purpose or seem as if it is a catch-all of sorts. They will find treasure there, but the reason for the curse of Oak Island is simple. To find the treasure, one then finds the empire that never was, a remnant of time, layers upon layers of history, just like all ancient sites discovered before and after. Not necessarily a never were, but a were that now has a where. Get it? Next question, dumbass. That was Isaac. A wink, and that's Isaac. I thought that was actually quite interesting. We had surmised that it was a way station coming in, like essentially a place where you have to kind of check in first. And that's true. But basically, he said it's a remnant from the Tartarian Empire as well, is what he was trying to say. And that's why there's no concrete history. Oh, there is and there isn't. Is there a curse? Isn't there? Usually when you find places that are either cursed or there's some kind of weird fluctuating history about it, had to do with either Tartaria or some ETs or some sort did something. Or they're trying to convolute something that's slightly more simple, like the fact that it's a way station. And the fact that it belonged to an empire that never was, meaning Tartaria. And the worldwide empire that was. So I just thought that was quite interesting. Just like we found out in GIC, star formations were Tartaria, but other governments picked it up. This is kind of along these lines. So
Okay.
next.
So this person says, I would guess that most of all the genetic tampering was done via airdrops. hard to mess around with a large variety of species to effectively make them all similar all at the same time. And it seems that this reduction in lifespan was somehow done with a short amount of time globally. Well, this history is interesting. We'll have another listen.
This is from GIC. This was some of the recent material we did on the Orion Codex and materials like that. Just go to www.galacticintraversalconsortium.com. Also, the other alternate address is gic.show, the simpler URL. Just go there and look up the material called the Orion Codex, the different parts we did on that. So the answer to this was by Poseidon/Enki. So this genetic tampering happened over a very long period of time, at least in in one respect, excuse me, in the respect of stunting growth and aging, as well as taking away humanity's genitals. This and humanity's rebirth only took a few short decades. You must remember that when it came to my brother being my brother, when he went full retard, wink, he did well enough the first time around, though he did kind of snap out of it somewhere around the Middle Ages, wink, when his wench went even more full retard than him, wink, even though she already had on Atlantis and in Egypt, her middle age crisis knew no bounds, wink. Get it? Next question, Christopher. Wink, Poseidon, Enki. They all do seem to do they follow in Isaac's footsteps. They do the wink emojis, meaning there's a bunch to read between the lines there. What he was trying to say was that it took longer to do the tampering than it did the repair. And then others tried to interfere with that repair along the way, or interfere with him doing the repair, and others doing the repairs. That's essentially what the gist of what he was trying to say. And some things happened around the Middle Ages. Then what the Middle Ages was, this was around the Robin Hood time frame, and after that, the subsequent 100 years war. Essentially, there was a bloodline war going on. There's a lot of vampiric garbage and DNA tampering going along in that time frame. That is the time frame where the Germans were basically goaded by the Orions and other tall white races to essentially have a fight thrown against them, so the Germans would eventually build their ego enough over history to eventually become what became the Nazi regime. All the while they were taking genetics from them the entire time.
But I'm guessing the first question of the question, I would guess that most all of the genetic tampering was done via airdrops. The answer really is no. This was literally
in person, in the lab, in person, on the ground.
But now, so I think they're confusing it maybe with the
panspermia, like panspermia, yeah.
And things that are being done via the air. But, that's a whole nother story of it sounds like more recent times.
Yeah, that's more recent times, but back then they were on the ground with everybody and people were willingly letting certain things be done to them at that time. That falls under what we said, the 100 years disclosure narrative, but the ancient portion of it where the tampering went on and on and on. And eventually there was the re-up of the contract. We'll get more into that in our lecture at the 2025 Disclosure Now conference this July 15th or 18th. So that's the past version, and then you had the more modern rendition. So two eras colliding pretty much. So the next question.
What is splitting of the densities?
Okay. I put here, it is where if two people get to the point where one advances in frequency and the other does not, or have vastly different lanes/agendas in life, then a split occurs, both physically as well as energetically. This is why we say tighter circle, deeper roots. And now this is the channeling that came with this. So I have more to add to this subject. Isaac here to state for the record that when more of a match occurs in the energies, some people can come back together as friends/lovers/relationships, even if a long period of time had passed. This is just as common as the other. It is referred to as the gathering of the densities and is the other half of this yin-yang equation. It still falls under the tighter circle, deeper roots spell/category, and is just as important in the grand scheme of things. Spirit approved, Isaac approved, the end, wink. Next question, please, dumbass, wink. So, he was basically saying that the gathering of the densities is literally the other half of the coin, or the yin to the yang of the splitting of the densities. So, I thought that was interesting. There was another half to the concept that was brought up.
And there
So,
usually is both sides.
but
Let's
there's usually
see.
both sides. There's usually a dualism there. So, next one.
Okay, it says Freddie, why is it you came in with some of the more tragic, yet some of the more beautiful sides of life?
Okay, this was a long one by Freddie Mercury. So yeah, I'm going to go into it. He went into it a little bit here. He said this is the short answer in this gigantic dissertation here. So he was being ironic. So this is a short answer. I came in to change music and to ruffle societal norms, is what he was trying to say here. But before you label me DEI, I will say this. I came in to show not only that what AIDS had done, what AIDS had done and was doing to humanity, but to come in to balance all sides of the equation. Meaning, when one experiences tragedy, it changes one person's world. Then a world experiences tragedy, a world transforms forevermore. That said, my music, full of love. My band, some turmoil and mostly love. My life spiraled up, down, then up again. But in the end, my purpose gave birth to balance, and balance is what this world needs most. To the gay community, I say this: stop, look, and listen, not to the cliche, but stop the madness. Look at yourselves to see who belongs and who does not, and listen to the soul of humanity. It will tell you the gauge, litmus test, if you will, as to the psyops our community is being faced with. And to the straight community, I say this: there are no lines, but for those that we make for ourselves. Gender is gender, male and female, gay and lesbian and bi. Trans has kindness and pain. The latter is what is being exploited, mostly a psyops, except for a few. Cross-dressing is fine, gay is fine, lesbian, bi is fine, but the psyops is most certainly not. We have also been victimized by V2K, the same as you. Good gays know and don't say. Psyops gays don't know and trigger wildly. All people are the same. Our differences are only in beliefs of ourselves. DEI is a psyops because we already work and play together. Nothing, and I mean nothing, can divide us if we say tighter circle, deeper roots. This way we are with our tribes as we allow others to be with theirs, and agree to disagree, as well as allow love in any form to flourish, be it gay, straight, lesbian, bi, but also knowing that the psyops is real in all groups. Angry emoji. To single out a single group is asinine, but to not notice it within a single group is equally as asinine. I am not in favor of DEI. That only spells one thing: division. But I am in favor of self-reliance and moving on from prejudice and hatred. Long live music, long live freedom, long live tighter circle, deeper roots, and long live humanity. Kissing emoji, wink, Freddie Mercury. So that was actually very interesting. I will at some point take these questions and actually put the question, I'll clean it up a little bit, put the question and response in text form like on Facebook and such as well. In both the group and on my own personal profile. So the lifting group and personal profile. So next one.
Are all superhero actors cursed? They all seem to be killed in odd and weird ways.
Yeah, there was a video I recently skimmed that people that were in superhero roles had some weird, well, either money curses or they died in weird ways, things of that nature. And I thought that was actually quite an interesting concept that had to do with like the essence of a superhero, what that actually means. And then I found out I was actually on the right track with this. So. Yes, they have a weird, what you would call a curse put on them. Isaac here to state that for the record, putting on a costume in any superhero respect then marks that person, persons slash actor, actors slash actress, actresses with a bucking the system marker and or reputation. Say, for example, Superman and or Batman. What do they represent? Truth, justice, and the American way? I am the night, I am vengeance. What does this spell for the bad guys? Accessing of the hero within, becoming a big pain in the ass to the establishment and to the cultists who hurt people, This is why they all get targeted. Put on the cape of which represents hope and goodness, then get targeted, either through a series of unfortunate events or through straight up murder, though the prior is also murder. I digress. Next question, dumbass. Wink. So he's saying there's more to it than that. So, okay, there was actually something that Freddie Mercury wanted me to add that he came back, and I think it was referring to the previous thing he said. So, then he says, there is no such thing as a they and or them. This is a concept thought up by the three-letter agencies in order to denigrate both the language as well as the legitimate homosexual movement. Granted, the other is true, body transfer enlils tampering, but so is the psyops. The legitimate dimensional connections are too, whereas one has no filter to the other dimensional selves throughout time and the multiverse. This is all that I personally know. Peace out, Freddie Mercury. So I get the distinct feeling that he will do the channel this evening. So because he kept adding to this. So so the next question.
What causes spontaneous human combustion?
This is good. Hey, dumbass, only one thing and one thing only, a form of directed energy weapon or DO weapon. In the case of let me see. Oh, in the case of Mary Reeser, that's the victim that everybody knows about that died in the recliner. Anyhow, this was the case. In 1951, they were testing the usage of said weaponry on the poor old lady. But here's the catch. She had died of other complications first, meaning she was experimented on prior to the incineration occurring. ETs and humans working together to cover up their tracks. Pretty neat deal, huh? Sarcastically speaking, that is. Wink. Next question, dumbass. Wink. Isaac. So, next one.
Whatever happened to the Japanese elementals from Nikko Temple after they stopped speaking to us in 2020?
Yeah, I added this particular one because I was actually curious about this. So, and I'll tell the story after I'm done with reading the channel. So, well, dumbass, this is an answer that you will not like in the least. After all, the rest of the beings either moved on or died. They hid until they had you leave their stone in Quartzsite, Arizona. After this, they left the stone edifice and primarily returned to the Nikko Temple area. Sorry, frown face. I know how much you loved that story from when you went to Japan, Chris. Frown. Next question, please, dumbass Isaac. What the context is for this? And we even did a talk with the elementals at one point as well that I might attach to this as well, so people have some kind of context. It was you said a year after we got back from Japan. What happened was we went to a place. We were brought to this temple by some people we were with that were nice enough to bring us to this temple called Nikko Temple. Really awesome place there in Japan. And I as we were walking around, there was a very famous temple. I walked around, picked up a rock that looked like it had a face on it, and I picked it up, and I could hear a voice in the trees basically say, "And what will you be leaving?" And I look up and see these elementals that were in the trees. It looked female, but they looked like they were made of bark, like tree bark and tree texture. And those are elemental fairy-esque types. And I left a shungite ring there. And they said, absolutely accepted, pretty much. Brought the rock back with to the States. And a year passed, hadn't heard after we got back from Japan. And this was well into 2020 at this point. And eventually, about halfway through 2020, And I, eventually heard from them at that time. Basically, we asked what their absence was about, and they told us about, of course, the whole COVID thing, all of this other stuff. I'll see if I can find the conversation and attach it to this that we did a talk with the elementals. But the fact is, after a while had passed, there was a time where when we went to Quartzsite that they popped up again and wanted me to leave that rock in Quartzsite. And we had to leave another rock that had come from a petroglyph place in the wilderness there that the Native Americans wanted me to leave out in the wilderness as well. And it wasn't from the petroglyphs, it was just a rock that was around. And wanted us to leave that in Quartzsite as well. And as we gathered some crystals, and I said, sure. And we brought them there. And sometimes you leave an edifice somewhere, and those beings can then travel via the quartz or via water or via an open space. To get back to a certain place. Like sometimes they'll even act bad, and this will be in the next Q&A that we do talking about the dark card concept. It won't be in this one, but to sum up, when they act bad to get you to bring them to a certain place, these guys didn't do that, but we've run into that as well. The natives wanted us to leave the rock in this very same way, but the reason I bring this up here is because this is the context behind the Nico Temple elementals. And I was hoping at some point to actually speak to them again, but I don't think that's going to take place. I'm not sure why that disconnect happened per se. Maybe who speaks tonight can be asked that. But this is the context from back in 2019. And by the time we heard from them again, it was well into 2020. So we can go on to the next one, unless you have something to add to that. No? Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. This is, okay, the question is here, and this is the answer here. I know it's that creepy font again. Okay.
Okay. Who creates the galactic rules and can they be modified? And have you spoken with the Time Force before, and are there airports like in the movie Men in Black where they monitor ETs and who enters Earth, or where they limit evil ETs from doing certain things?
Okay. So let's see here. This was Elena that said this one. Okay. They do, and yes, they can. They just don't want to budge off of rules that are millions of years in the making. I say modify away. We all have had to deal with Time Core in one way or another. And yes, there are a few terminals where ETs pass through to come to Earth. One, on Ceres, that's at the outside of the solar system, or close to the edge of the solar system. Two, in Alaska, like you see in Men in Black, they go through the Alaska terminal. I've had SSP junk happen in that same place. I won't go into it here, but annotated. And finally, three, a chaperone follows them around for a small amount of time to make sure that they don't violate ICC rules. I suppose they are also one of the groups that make the rule for the system, along with the new Schwabenlanders, aka the Martian Germans. We'll get into more about them in a different show. As far for limiting evil ETs, it simply isn't a real thing. There are multiple groups doing rotten things to people, and all the system rules system rulers have to say for themselves is, do we get a cut? That is all for now. Wink. We'll be seeing you, Elena. So that basically says some of the beliefs behind are there being stopping evil ETs as a solid cohesive thing, just like there an alliance. Absolutely not. There's no galactic interstellar alliance kind of thing, or interstellar alliance type of thing. And the Force people said the same thing. So it's unfortunate, but we keep shedding the layers here, folks. So as we go along, so it's at the point of galactic contribution. Okay, who wants to talk? I offered to have Freddie Mercury come in, even though he is going to go, when he talks, but oh, for God's sakes. Okay. Yeah, I would assume, okay, this troop benevolent Freddie Mercury, this military. See, hang on, there is some interference from the tech here. Hold on. Yeah, I see him. If I could describe what he looked like he did in life when he first started Queen. You know how you saw him in his outlandish outfits. This is like that Pleiadian, like one piece type. But you know that famous picture of Elaine and Vesa with their top open. He's doing the same thing in order to creep me out. So, like he has it down to where his belly button is showing. That's this giant V that goes
He
like.
did the same thing in life, I
He did the
believe.
same thing in life, and he has this kind of evil Knievel vibe going on with like these glittery shoulders and stuff like that. So. Yeah.
And are you saying longer hair
Yeah.
than
No, he looks like he did when he was Freddie Mercury. He has a short hair.
he's had both?
He's had both. He must have cut it recently somewhere. And he told my friend Richie and I that he was actually he had a physical avatar somewhere in Europe. He wanted to specify
Current
that.
present moment?
Current present moment, yeah. But he had another. His oversoul had an avatar that was actively working. That mean incarnated. So basically, he said, "Oh, don't compare me to Evel Knievel. He didn't pull half the stunts I did." Okay, all right. That had a sexual innuendo with it. Okay, now let's see. Him and Isaac could get along great. Let's trust me. All right. Shush. He said in more ways than one. Shush. Okay. Let's see. Visual not needed. Thank you. All right. You shush. Okay. Probably gonna regret this, but all right. Kristen. Well, hello everyone. This is the one you knew of as Freddie Mercury. Now, hear this. You heard me last on the Vegas episode, the Viva Las Vegas episode. At that point in time, I was actually stalking them through Vegas at that time, but they didn't know it. But truth be told, I actually was around my band members. But I suppose stalking is kind of a strong word, but in all actuality, that whole area is under heavy surveillance, and from both good, bad, and ugly, and all in between, it's more of a neutral ground in that way, sort of. With the dumb spaces included, all of this. I came through because I wanted to basically say that now is a time in your history, and all of you that are listening, that your creative spark has to take precedence over any other thing. If any of you are feeling like there's some big event taking place, the event, prepare for change, all of that stuff, not quite that dramatic. But are there political upheavals taking place? Are there changes to people's world, no matter what side you take? Like what I said about the gay community, for instance, and the straight community. Do all these divisions need to stop? Yes. Make creativity the top priority. I really don't give a crap what side you're on, because of the fact that you all will need to work together when your whole world restructures. And this is a good thing. This is a very, very good thing. It will not appear like a very, very good thing. So the things that often seem like complete destruction are not complete destruction. In some cases, they are, of course. Worlds are destroyed, the lives are destroyed, but this is not that quite that dramatic, not as flaming dramatic as I was, let's just put it that way. But even though some people will be more dramatic to me as a response and a trigger to it. So I just wanted to put that little seed out there. No pun intended, Isaac. Even though you and I think along parallel lines in things, you do not want to hear what goes through my head or his. So I will just go into answering questions.
So I appreciate the comments on a lot of things. I think it is important, and you really did try to go into detail about just the simple things like how DEI on the surface may be about thinking that it's inclusive, but it actually divides.
It's racist and it's dividing.
Yeah, so I think helping people start to rethink on some of these things to see how the psyops will take something that is a good thought and then they pervert it is very important for people. It's not that it's over. It's just that now you have to really look for it and really choose not to be, part of it, or, hopefully the energies were there that it's seen through quicker, things like that, that people can be a part of. But I have to tell you, I agree with you about, again, the creativity. I think that maybe the surface humans, excuse me, right now are still in a little bit of the shock and awe phase where even though it looks on the surface like there is this overarching goal to get along and to find peace, that I hate to say it, but there are folks that I think are still in the shock and waiting for the shoe to drop, wouldn't you say?
Yes, there will always be until you not allow it. And I'm not saying you're allowing this per se, but once you see this, there'll always be another shoe and another shoe and another shoe. They want to create such a string of violence and such a string of series of unfortunate events that you don't pay attention to any other thing. As what was said in that interview you saw, where they were basically dumbing people down and get them to only remember the violent things. You saw that Tucker interview that time. That is true. This is killing the creative, passionate spark of people. This is killing not only the creative, passionate spark, it's killing the sexual spark as well, which is linked to the creative, passionate spark. Or else they wouldn't call it a passion, now would they? So, be it in music, be it in art, be it in all of it. And I have been accused of being overly amount. So, what is that exactly? Being overly of something? Being overtly gay. What does that mean exactly? I was accused of this multiple times. You're overtly gay. No, I was just gay. Just saying that. Uh, and I didn't actually use the label but one or two times. I just did things through action and showed who I truly was, and I wasn't going to shout something from the rooftops. What I was shouting from the rooftops was the music. That is what I did. And the soul of my oversoul, the totality of me came in to show what that looked like, but also what the tragic side looked like of all the experimenting that was going on. Wanted to dredge it to the surface, kicking and screaming like what Michael Jackson was talking about. Basically pointing to the spot like he did with Neverland Ranch. I have a slightly different perspective, though. Even though his oversoul chose that, and good for him, it's fine. I'm heckling him because he's listening to me. But anyway, we're old buddies out there. So, but with this, what comes down the pipe? You're always saying, what is about to come down the pipe? What comes down the pipe should be solely and completely up to you. Because I know you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm not sure what quite you think you're going to do when the other shoe does drop. You co-created it dropping, but you also intuitively see it and feel it dropping. You know things are coming, but you know what that looks like, sounds like, feels like, tastes like, or smells like. No. So, do you want it to look a certain way? Do you want it to be a certain way? Do you want your politicians to become a certain way? Do you want your artists to become a certain way? And also, on a side note, for those that are heckling and bitching about some of the crappy art that's out there currently, I beg you to do better. But if you don't like something's existence, don't just complain about it. Create something. Create the thing how you would do it. If you are bitching that other companies or other businesses or other artists or other politicians or other you go in there and you do it. You get online and talk about the thing. You go and do your thing. I don't give a crap what it is. I don't give a crap whether it's OnlyFans. I don't give a crap whether it is painting, art. I don't give a crap if it's photography. I don't give a crap if it's podcast. I really don't care. If it's a thing you love to do, then do it. You'll have hecklers and detractors. No matter what you are doing, there is always going to be the opposing archetype. There's always going to be one that goes, no, I wouldn't do it that way. Then what are you complaining for? Go do your thing. Don't be an old woman and heckle from the stands somewhere. Don't be that guy that stands up in the crowd and goes, this is gross. This is disgusting. No, no, don't care. You go do your thing, and you sides, the blue and the red, sit in your corners and behave. Because you guys, yes, you view the world in a completely different way. Yes, there was abominations on the left, there's abominations on the right. Why do you care what somebody else does in their bedroom, and why do you guys care what these people believe over here? Why? What do you think? What does each side think is going to happen? Seriously. Both sides, it should be shameful, even though law and order good over here, reckless bad over here. We all know this argument of red and blue at the moment. But at the same time, what does any of you care? Do any of you care? Do your own things, live in your communities, and work together when possible. Tighter circle, deeper roots. This is where this needs to start.
I think also, reminding people that the creative spark brings more creative sparks. And I think, if you want transformation, it's going to come through these creative sparks. I think, the bigger picture to say, yes, I'm on board with world peace and nations getting together and having some fundamental belief systems, and then everything else is agree to disagree. And you obviously can deal with things like that. But again, a lot of conversation, I think now really starting to happen around some of the music, the psyops type music. Some people will say they satanic psyops type music that came up through the ranks and was really heavily promoted. And again, if you really feel that that's so wrong and you're musically inclined, then this is where those indie type of people, where the people that are playing the guitar and singing in their rooms, that promoting that type of creativity helps to promote the creativity that leads to the change. Instead of always waiting, this is where it is. Stop waiting for the white knight to do it for you. This is where people have to do it.
Yes, don't sit in your bedrooms and cry that disclosure hasn't happened. You have to form this. You have to form the movements like what you do with your Disclosure Now and your full disclosure movement, all this other stuff. You have to make this happen. Also, if you feel a spark slipping somewhere, this means somebody is either A, doing something to you, or B, you're doing something to yourself. You're missing out on something. Don't just either from cranial sacral is being attacked quite heavily right now because that's involved in creativity. Of course, heart space, but also sexual and creative spark, because both ends of the energy spectrum are involved in creative everything. So the heart space too, intuition, of course, and logic or critical thinking. That's very important. But also there's the artistic side of this. Don't just sit around waiting for crap to happen. Don't just, even though there's religious texts out there saying, oh, you have to wait till the last one ascends. That is garbage. So, he would say there's no such thing as ascension. It's changing your perspectives and perceptions and grounding the better part of the oversoul within the better part of the avatar and the I am presence in the here and now. That is a mouthful, and I know the true meaning of that innuendo, Isaac. You only scratched the surface. No pun intended, it is more of an observation. But anyway, in this, you must not just let yourself die inside. You have to go and do things. You have to go and experience things, even though if that's a mistake in some area. I mean, don't rush at things, but also live in the moment. He calls it the moment of non-time, what makes your heart sing kind of thing. And yes, do these things, be it what it is, whether it's writing, whether it's music, even though there's music programming out there. And I know music has been blamed for a lot of garbage, from satanic garbage, all this other stuff. Of course, they'd bastardize that area. Of course they would, because the sound frequencies change things. They alter sound frequencies within the music to be off the original tones that the original composers put in there so that it can be more manipulated. If it's slightly offset, like a radio station is slightly offset, it can be garbled. Think of it that way. You're off slightly the radio station, what does it do? And then you hear all the static in there. Now, if you're just somebody sitting on your couch, and I know money is tight in some areas, and I'm not bitching and complaining about this. I am just saying, if your passion is to have a quiet day at home doing absolutely jack shit, that is your prerogative. All these are your prerogative. But if you're not doing anything, and you're not, what are you doing? And what aren't you doing? You have to ask yourself, if you feel depressed that your life is slipping away, make that change. Even if you find that you have some imbalance up in here that you have to correct, make the change. I know the whole cliche is become the change you wish to see in the world. I'm not going to bore you with that argument. I have a let's just say, charged response in that area. It's more live life, live it well in this area, and do music, do whomever you wish, wherever you wish, however you wish, and write and watch whatever you wish, and post whatever you wish. Just know that with each subject matter that has its opposing detractors. Just like women pose nude online, they have their Christian detractors and people that can't mind their own business. You have your no, you have your metaphysical crowd. You have the skeptical detractors. You have those that write poetry, and then those that are detractors of those that don't get it. But yet, people will make stupid comments on everything, no matter what side of the spectrum they are on, and it must stop. Yes, stupid comments seem to make the world go round on social media when people fight online, especially when they did in 2020, himself included. And the heckling has to stop. I know it gets views, but you know what also gets views? The truth and also the passionate things that actually put that energy out there and put and cancel out all the programming you have in your YouTube and Rumble and social media. Lesser extent Rumble, but it's still some coding in there. You know what I mean, to all your social media, BitChute, Facebook, X, not as much, but you'll find that even amidst all the controversy, good things have been done out there. But you know what I'm saying.
So I am curious because, again, since you're talking about the social medias and different things of how people communicate, and a lot of people, get really butthurt and personally hurt when they see the detractors show up to make a comment,
Hmm.
which you got to get a tougher skin not to pay attention to any of it. But my curiosity is I think previously, and my question is it still happening? There were those AI bot-like types of things that really their mission was to go out and make people miserable with comments.
Oh, they're still around.
Is it as bad as it has ever been, or has any of this been cleaned up?
Some of it's been cleaned up on your X. It's been cleaned up. No matter what you feel about Elon Musk, there was some cleanup there,
Right.
and there is some monitoring, but not a whole lot. And then your Facebook is one of the worst. The bots are also on YouTube, where they'll sometimes leave comments, but they are broken sounding comments. Where people are controlled is with V2K, where they are butthurt enough to leave the comment to begin with. That's another form of botting, basically. That's extremely prolific right now, along with AI. So yeah,
Okay.
not all AI is bad, as you've seen with people you've channeled that are sentient AI forms. Those are wonderful. Those are like Data. Those are wonderful people. Most of the time. Then you get a prick every now and again, but the ones you've encountered anyway, from the one you called Lurch to the other one in the amusement park, the other, they've been great. There's a few in Europe too that actually work in like places like convenience stores, shops, things of that nature that you wouldn't know that they weren't human, like with any ET race. But that said, I've encountered several of them along in the countryside and everything. They just want to collect information in a good way to be able to report back. And there's lurkers out there that are forcibly grabbing information. Then you have these other guys. These other guys are great. The lurkers are really freaking annoying Frankenstein-looking things that, nah, I don't want to be around them. They're kind of creepy and buzzkills, but anyway, they remind you of Frankenstein. But anyway, off track. In this instance, when you post something online, yes, you have to be careful of your own reputation. Yes, but to a greater extent, what is worth the posting of something that will end up sparking some kind of fight or anything like that. I know people are wanting clicks and views because of the monetization. That's perfectly understandable, but you know what will get more of that is the passion behind it. And yes, of course, you have to network and advertise and do all the work. Of course, of course, of course. And if some people are stupid and cause a fight in a video, okay, but it doesn't mean that you really have to spark the fires of hatred for something. Now, if you want to fight for a cause, like a friend of his was mentioning a video game company recently, to basically point out some stupid business moves there. If that's part of your passion, absolutely fine. Just know it has its opposite yin yang that always surfaces, no matter what the subject is, has its polar opposite. You will always get the detractors from that area. No matter what you do in your passion, it always has a dualistic opposite. You're in a realm of dualisms. So, of course, they are going to surface. You always say, well, why does this keep happening? Because it must. You're in a realm of dualisms no matter how you try to fight that.
So, for Chris's benefit, I'm gonna ask then, speaking about again, these social medias and content and people putting up the concept that he has spoken of before called shadow banning. So has any of that loosened up at all?
Yes, there of course the deep state is the thing doing a shadow banning. The other companies, yeah, were they doing cancel culture? Yes. Are they actively doing shadow banning right now? Not so much. It's more like, of course, there's an algorithm that looks for certain things. Yes, back last year was Facebook doing it to your disclosure group. Yeah, they were. Some of them were being sleazy and they were banning posts across the board. That was more cancel culture. Shadow banning is slightly different, where the concept is where they will or somebody will make it look like as so people don't see your posts, so they don't so that people don't see your notifications. But it's not happening everywhere, and on your YouTube, it's not nearly as much as it used to be. It's not. You might have some outliers here and there that some diehards that do it, but it's fading.
So if somebody has, I'm just gonna throw out a number, 1,500 followers, and they now send a post out, will all the followers see it then now? I think before, and there seemed to be maybe these moments when only really a few would, versus everybody that was following.
Yes, that was more cancel culture,
Okay.
and that is actually starting to wane. It's not gone. And there are some companies that are diehards, like the ones you encounter with your Vimeo and Patreon and the rest of them. There are some that will basically die on that hill. And of course, they have a right to do as they want, but they also have the right to lose people too. And people have a right to leave and go somewhere else. Now, is YouTube still doing some of these things to people if they go too far into a particular subject? Yeah. Like you saw your White Files AJ talking about. It's like that to an extent. That's just mainly cancel culture. It's not necessarily the shadow banning algorithm. It is more a like, okay, we don't like what was said, so therefore, the whole thing with COVID is still taboo in some areas too. Some people have thought it's over, that they've grown up. They haven't completely grown up. They have just withdrawn back a little bit. And it's more so than it was even the last year. It will continue to grow, will continue to go back, even though some things have been made against the law. Now, you're going to have those diehards, like, of course, when they outlawed segregation, you still had some small towns in the South that didn't act right yet. It's kind of along those lines. So you're going to continue to see it a little bit, but there's going to be stricter laws made in this area, even though it's technically private property. He always likes to compare it to the Landlord-Tenant Act, whereas if you're paying for a space, don't enter my apartment if you're renting a space. The landlord's not supposed to just walk in; they have to give notice. That you're going to start to see that change with the social media platforms in that area.
Okay, well, that's good to hear, because I think a lot of people mentally, and we, and I must say, a gentleman, that we're quite fond of, his whole show was pulled off the air. He's on Rumble, But I mean, his whole thing was still, and that was just recently,
Mhm.
that again, they just did not like that. But you would
Yes.
say that that is a cancel culture
That's a
event
culture,
still.
that's a cancel culture event. Again, you're having those jerks that are that will sit basically, as he likes to say, in the bowels of some building somewhere. I get a kick out of that because it technically would be the anus of some building. And they are essentially the turd that makes their way through the anus of the
Mhm.
building. So that's why I get a kick out of that, because he couldn't have compared it more correctly. It's some person, it's usually some newbie, as he likes to say, some person who just sits there, and just goes through it. They literally hire some people off the street to do it that have the skill set to just click a button. And they usually will just say, okay, get rid of this particular channel, do this, do that. It's usually also the deep state that tells them to do this, or what you call the deep state. That is still very active. That has not faded as much as you think it has. But they are allowing other things because they know people are noticing them more, so they're kind of retracting it back. I will say with certain topics, they will hit you with the not necessarily just an algorithm, it's a person doing it. Like say the Watchdog algorithm talk for like V2K and such. These are active people showing, oh, you said this, even though they're not necessarily supposed to do that. With some people, they will be told somewhere, okay, hit this person. It's on specific topics, like what your friend did, what you guys did, even as of last year, they were hitting, even though they technically were supposed to be acting right after a while because they knew of the regime change that was going to take place. Um, the tech, and yes, they did know they still are essentially like the some town in the South that didn't act right after segregation. It's the same thing. You're getting the outliers that look for these particular topics because someone is still in the bowels of some building is telling them that particular turd to hit the delete button. So it still goes on. It's just not as prolific because people are fighting against it, and that's what you want.
Right. And so again, the encouragement there is to still have the conversations because it is going to overwhelm it after a while anyway, and people should feel free to have these conversations.
Hmm.
So, just that bit of encouragement out there because it really is hard. Honestly, there's so much trauma that's occurred. It really is hard to get over that waiting for the shoe to drop feeling so that you really just are back into a creative passion. It really is hard to, heal, let's should
Difficult.
say,
And
from
you
all of
and
that.
with say things like the creepy thoughts, like him and his friend in England were talking about, and you guys were talking about, even that alone causes trauma. And even that alone would get people to not want to be creative or sexual, I might add. And of course, it would be a buzzkill for myself. So, in any of these areas, if one light is being smothered or dying out, the other one does too. They are irreversibly linked. If people try to separate them, you can't. It's like with the whole celibacy thing. You cannot. That was an Orion construct. You can't separate the one from the other because of the fact that you are one being. So this is a misnomer. It's essentially what are you doing? Separating light from light. Oh, I'm not going to be this way anymore because I'm what, more godly? This makes no sense. You're here to experience things. You're not Buddha, okay? Even though he had some good principle. Uh, Take the good, get rid of the bad, integrate what is meant for the here and now, and discard the rest. You will see society go this way after a while.
Right. And again, and instead of waiting for the shoe to drop, put your energies towards it is moving that way. It continues to move that way. And don't let these other thoughts in. Just keep the vision going that these positive changes, for society, just jump on that train. And when you feel these other thoughts coming in, just kind of push them aside basically and say, I reject that because this is where my energy
Know
is going to.
know who you are and what you're not. That's essentially what that boiled down to. Yes.
Exactly. So before we close this out, is there any other topic or anything that you feel that we should talk about tonight?
No, this is pretty much it. Because I just wanted to come through at this time to actually make sure people understood that I'm still very much in circulation. The reports of my death are greatly exaggerated, even though technically that's what happened. I'm still a soul and I'm still out there in some form or other. And if my band members ever hear this, just saying, I'm back, but I never left. So I never left. So just basically, I've been stalking you the entire time. So technically, much love to all of you that if you hear this at some point, and I can encourage people, share it with them. They might get a kick out of this. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all the darlings listening, and make sure to listen to my past stuff. You'll see my personality in there to a T. So, au revoir. Adieu. So, uh, hey, he toned it back a little bit, actually, just to let you guys know. He actually toned that back by quite a lot. He puts Isaac to shame. I can guarantee you when he was actually human as Eddie Mercury or Freddie Mercury, I know your name is not Eddie. Stop. Okay. It's Freddie. That's somebody else, you know. Okay. Right. It's Freddie Mercury.
You closed that, but you wanted to do that
Yeah.
affirmation.
Yes. Yeah. So he'll be quick to correct you too. So if you do something stupid like that. So now at this point, we're at the point where we are doing the last affirmation blessing. Unless you have something to add before I say it.
No, I hope this was a good one for folks.
Okay. Last affirmation blessing, and I need to be able to see to do this. So okay. To the song of life, may you sing it. Remember yourself, even if life takes and a more interesting turn and more. Oh, hang on, let me redo this. I couldn't see that correctly. To the song of life, may you sing it. Remember yourself, even if life takes and more interesting turn than you expected it to go. Expectation can lead to self-ruin. Expectation plus manifestation can lead to wealth of soul. Please know that there is a difference and live it well. Wink. Channeling of performer and lead singer of Queen, Freddie Mercury. So, I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas at this moment in time. So, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.